Political viability.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is February, not December 1st, 2026 at 9:09 p.m. My name is Stephen Nikala, Chairman of the Libertarian National Committee. I'm going to be calling this meeting of the Executive Committee to order. Mr. McMahon or Mr. Secretary, whenever you're ready with roll call, please.
Give me 1 second, Mr. Chair. Okay. Chair Nikalo.
Present.
Vice Chair Dar.
Here?
Treasurer Redpath.
Yes.
Secretary McMahon is here. Mr. Ford.
Here.
Mr. Watkins. Not present. Mr. Chair, there's 5 present, 1 not.
All right, we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. The chair is seeking a motion to adopt the agenda.
Can we see it on the screen, please?
Hold on. There you go.
I'll move to adopt the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we're now on to the adoption of the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, is there any objection to the agenda? Hearing none, addenda is adopted. We're now on to ballot access encumbrance for LP of Maryland. Mr. Redpath, you have the floor.
Yes, and I will have a motion at some point here, but first I think it would be good to hear. I see the chair of the Libertarian Party of Maryland, Mr. Kyle O'Donnell, on here. One I don't know, is Travis Laurel on here, the treasurer of the LP of Maryland, or not?
No.
No? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to recognize, get an update as to the situation in Maryland. And certainly it would be appropriate for people to ask questions if they so desire, I think, of the chair of the Libertarian Party of Maryland. Uh,
Point
So,
of information.
yep.
Point of information.
While Chairman O'Donnell is speaking, Mr. Redpath, can you send me your motion?
My motion will be based on what will be crafted after we get a current update on the Maryland situation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. O'Donnell.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. Maryland is currently undergoing petitioning for ballot access. We're usually able to keep ballot access for about a decade. This is just one of those times where we have to petition for it again. The Maryland Board of Election uses a multi-line signature petition, so it is a little more complicated of a petition form. Our threshold is 10,000 valid signatures. LP Maryland is currently sitting at about 5,500 raw signatures, so we're a little over halfway there on a raw basis. We've spent about 25,000 US dollars, and we have about $25,000 left in the bank. We plan on exhausting all of the funds that we have saved up for ballot access, which should get us around 11,000, maybe 12,000 raw signatures. The difficulty that we face in Maryland is that they recently changed state law so that when we submit our petitions, we can no longer add to them. Historically, if we were short or they invalidated some, we could go back and add maybe 1, 2, or 3,000 more to bring it up. Unfortunately now, if we are challenged and if we are invalidated below 10,000 valid, we lose all of it. So we lose all 10,000 signatures, 12,000 signatures. We lose all $50,000 that we have spent on it. And so the Libertarian Party of Maryland, having spent significant amount of our resources, humbly requests that the National Libertarian Party assist and help secure that 50,000 that Maryland is spending. And at this time, I yield the floor. Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. O'Donnell. What is the you said we're at 5,500 right now, and I think you said and that's gross signatures when we need 10,000 net signatures or valid signatures. And so that's 11,000. I'm sorry, did you say you have $25,000 left to spend on this?
Approximately, yes.
Okay, so that's $25,000. And so were you planning on continuation of $5 per sig as the compensation?
Yes, we initially did volunteers only, and then we did $3 per sig and did not get any paid signers. And so at $5 per sig, we do have a few signers.
Okay, but here's my situation right now, or this what I perceive to be the situation, and that is that we're moving too slowly at $5 per signature right now. I don't think there's been very much increase in the number of signatures, and we've got a deadline now of July 1. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we have 5 months to finish this petition drive, and and correct me if I'm wrong, these signatures that have been gathered can't be carried over to 2028. Do correct me if I'm wrong, but if we don't finish this petition drive by July 1, including these signatures are all going to be worthless in the future. Is that correct?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Redpath. Fortunately, signatures in the state of Maryland are valid for 2 years after signing.
Okay.
So we could carry them over outside of this gubernatorial cycle and submit it for the presidential cycle.
Okay. And
Thank you.
and would that be good for 2 election cycles in that instance or not? In other words, if we did not complete this petition drive for 2026 and we said, okay, we're going to use these signatures and try to get on for 2028, would that be for 2028 and 2030?
It's only valid for uh, you get a pass on the next election cycle. So in Maryland, you have to hit 1% in the next election to maintain party status. So if we submit, let's say in the fall, um, we would get a pass for the presidential, and then we could run the next gubernatorial as well.
Okay,
So we get two.
so the answer is if we don't complete this petition drive by July 1, which would entitle us to have a gubernatorial candidate and I believe other candidates as well
Correct.
in 26 and 28, then so we move past that July 1 deadline, and then would we be looking at a July 1? You said the signatures are good for 2 years. So are some of these signatures going to, pardon my phraseology, rot here, so to speak? When somebody signs the petition, is that signature only good for 2 years from the date of signing?
Correct. We're not anticipated to lose any signatures from expiration.
Oh, okay. All right. So anyway, I will, Mr. McMahon has a question there, so I will, Mr. McMahon, why don't you go ahead?
I've got a couple questions. Are you petitioning under the name of a candidate for governor?
No, the petition is for party status. We are not petitioning to have one candidate. We are petitioning for the party status. And then once we have that status, we can run any candidate for a statewide office.
Okay, so my next question is, we were sent a tweet from Maryland that said in response to a reporter that there likely weren't going to be any Maryland Libertarian candidates this year. And I'm assuming that is because it also stated, we lost ballot access. The other thing was, though, the Republican candidate for governor spoke at your convention and also put out a tweet thanking you, correct?
Yes, the state of Maryland Libertarian Party of Constitution has our meetings, central committee meetings, open to the public. And a libertarian candidate that ran for statewide office invited several people to come to our convention. And we have libertarians at the convention. We have Democrats at our convention, and we have independents and Republicans.
But
It's a very
this wasn't just an attendee though. They spoke to the convention body, correct?
after we had much like we have announcements during
Mhm.
this LNC meeting. Yes. Uh,
My final question would be, since it's going to be based on gubernatorial, um, do you plan on running a gubernatorial libertarian candidate?
we do have a candidate that is a very seasoned, that has run for statewide office before. His name is Jason Wonder, and he has said that he would run for governor if we needed a candidate to run. But he's not currently running a campaign. He's not fundraising. There's no staff, so
I don't know that
someone.
I would run too if the party didn't have ballot access. I'd probably wait until they got the party status before I declared I was going to dump a bunch of money and time in it. So I completely understand that. That makes sense.
Yeah. But like it would be a very short campaign, and it would be a very difficult campaign
Do you
to
think
run
you
for
guys
governor.
would be able to muster the support and resources to get the 1% for the gubernatorial candidate?
Historically, we have been able to reach 1%. But when I think about, we get a pass on one election. Let's I think it is strategic to have it be the presidential so that we can get more run out of this. So we can run a proper presidential campaign, so we can run a proper gubernatorial campaign instead of like this split second last rush across the finish line.
Well, so then, okay, sorry, I do have another question then. So in that case, if it's to focus more on the presidential, then wouldn't it be better if we took the signatures that were gathered right now, put those in the box, come back in 2028, finish the petition drive, and then you've got the presidential and the gubernatorial following that? Is that what you're
Uh,
saying?
thank you for your question. The state of the Libertarian Party of Maryland intends to submit our petitions in 2026. When we exhaust all $50,000 that the state of Maryland has spent, we should have over 10,000 raw, and we want to submit because every month that we wait, there is the potential that someone will move addresses, and then their petition is no longer valid. So I think we should strike while the iron is hot rather than coming back in 2 years.
Okay.
I have a few questions. Mr. O'Donnell, how much money is Maryland asking the LNC for in this instance? What is your signature target, and how much is it going to cost?
If we finish around let's say $11,000 to $12,000, or 11 to 12 thousand raw signatures, ideally, I think if we could submit 15,000 raw signatures, I think that would be a very strong submission. That's what the Kennedy team submitted, and that's what the Green Party submitted. Um, and so that's a delta of like 3 to 4 thousand raw signatures at $5 a sig. That's like 15 to 20,000.
So I'm gonna be really honest. The LNC is not in a good money position right now.
Okay,
Uh,
understand.
we are not in positive cash flow. Some months yes, some months no. It varies. We have money in the bank, but that's our piggy bank right now. That's our emergency fund. We're trying not to tap into it. We didn't budget any money for ballot access this year, case by case basis, like yourself, which we're considering a la carte. Um, I'm wondering a few things. Potentially, I would like to talk to staff about potentially putting together a fundraising drive and spending some money on that to raise money specifically for this petition drive for two reasons. One is because we don't have the money. The second reason is I'd like to get donors bought into this petition drive because we have donors, they give money sometimes when we ask them, and if we ask them the right way, they're more likely to give potentially. I'd have to ask the board money to do that, but that's the first issue. The second thing is it does sound like this isn't as pressing as it has to be on by July 1st. There is a potentiality here where it could be submitted July 1st in 2027 or 2028. It's a 2-year deadline, so it'd be 2027, I would assume. Explain that
Thank you
to
for
me.
the question. It's the signature petition expires 2 years after the date of signing.
Hmm.
Yes,
Okay, and the signatures can be submitted at any time as long as
correct.
they're valid. So if they're
Correct.
valid at the time of submission, then they will be, will they not, or will they be valid when, what is the next deadline after this July 1st?
It would be 2 years.
It would be 2 years.
Yes,
So in 2 years, July 1st, 2028, they 2 years from now, the petitions you have now wouldn't be valid at all. Would that be
correct.
correct? So it has to be July 1st, 2026.
If we wanted to run a gubernatorial. So we could submit it in September or November,
You can
or
submit it any time.
or
Okay,
next
so you
summer.
can
Yeah.
you can submit it any time. There's not a deadline that you have to submit it by a certain date. It's only if you wanted to run a gubernatorial candidate. But if you submit it, let's say a year from now or a
Yes,
year
sir.
and a half from now, you would still be able to participate in the presidential election, get
Correct.
1%, maintain ballot access.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I've got a question and a comment.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Um, Question. So if this is a party petition, if it succeeds, correct me if I'm wrong, but this means that the Libertarian Party of Maryland, with zero further signatures to be gathered by any candidate, can run for any partisan office in the state. Is that correct?
Correct. That is accurate.
Okay, so that means Congress, that means State House, State Senate, everything, no more signatures to be gathered. You can run for every partisan office in the state. All right.
Correct.
So there, and hopefully there will be candidate recruitment going on
Yes.
to that end. All right. But I also want to make a statement here. I mean, what is the current pace of signature gathering, Mr. O'Donnell? Like about how many signatures per week right now are being gathered at $5 per signature?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Redpath. Unfortunately, we have just had an ice storm, so
Well,
we're
but
not collecting any signatures in the depth
right,
of
but
winter.
but
But
generally over the past, 2 or 3
yes,
months, what's the average gathering of signatures per week?
when the weather warms up, we hope to accomplish uh, 1,000 to 1,200 a month.
1,000 to 1,200 a month.
Yes,
Well,
and
that we're not gonna hit July 1 then, because
correct.
we've
Oh,
got we've got 10 we've got, and by the way, the number that in talking with Travis Larrell, the gross number of signatures that he had talked about was 16,000 gross to get the 10,000 net, because they do have fairly stringent standards about the acceptability of signatures in Maryland. So anyway, my discussions with him, he was talking about 16,000 gross sigs to be comfortable with the 10,000 net, particularly since there is no longer that cure period in Maryland. So what I'm saying here is, and I've received feedback from petitioners here, and and I will just, what is past is past. What's water over the dam is. But what I'm hearing now is that $5 per gross signature isn't going to get this done. I mean, I from Bob Lynch, the hotels are expensive. Maryland's an expensive area, and when we're paying X dollars per sig, that's it. All the expenses are the responsibilities of the petitioners, and I've heard that $5 isn't cutting the mustard. Frankly, I called a good friend who's a professional petitioner recently and said, "Geez, what do you think? What do you think we ought to be paying in Maryland? Or what's the rate going to be?" His first answer was $10 per signature, and I'm not. I think $7 probably will incentivize our core Libertarian Party petitioners, professional petitioners, to come to Maryland to do this. But I don't think anything less is frankly going to get the job done. And I can't even swear that $7 will get it done. But I don't think 5 is going to get us there, at least by the July 1, 2026 deadline. And I just think we need to be more realistic in terms of what the cost is going to be for this.
Mr. McMahon?
Can I,
Oh, I'm sorry. I have one more. I'm
Oh,
sorry. One
that-
more
you-
comment, and that is it's going to be more expensive in 2028 than in 2026 to petition. The price is going to go up. Inflation, presidential candidates running in 2028. That was one thing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for wanting to say this. I actually think it's going to be cheaper now than to wait.
I'm going to go to Mr. McMahon, then Mr. Ford. Mr. McMahon?
So right now, Maryland has about 5,500 gross SIGs. They need about another 10,000. They're putting up 25,000 at Mr. Redpath's $7 per SIG. They need an additional 45,000. What's funny is in 2014 when me and Mr. Redpath were on the LNC together, I went on a tirade about giving Maryland money for ballot access. And I'm not doing that this time, Mr. O'Donnell. I actually support us encumbering this and pulling it from the building fund if necessary. I also think we should do fundraising to try to get donors to support. I'd like to see Maryland increase its fundraising asks. But my reasoning for wanting to support it is this. You have a candidate that's ready to run for governor if need be. They didn't have that in 2014. And I agree with Mr. Redpath. It is cheaper to do it now, and we already have a third of the signatures. You cannot guarantee that those signatures will be valid in 2028. I would say you'd be lucky if half of them ended up being certified. So we have 5,500. We need another 10,000. We're going to have to do it regardless. And I do agree with Mr. Redpath. In a presidential year, if it's $7 to $10 now, it's going to be 15 plus in 2028. So I would support an encumbrance of up to $45,000 to Maryland for the petitioning drive. I maybe would like to see that broken into some milestones, but it is up to and regular reporting weekly from Maryland on the efforts. One last question, Mr. O'Donnell. I do believe this is the case, but Maryland is an FEC filer, correct?
Correct. We file with both the FEC and the state body.
I just wanted to make sure it was going to be easy for us to handle this. With that, I yield.
Mr. Ford?
yeah, as the committee knows, I'm generally very supportive of the LNC chipping in, if you will, to do the ballot access. A couple questions. You had ballot access in Maryland. What happened to lose it?
In the state of Maryland, we must hit at least 1% in both presidential cycles and gubernatorial cycles. We usually keep it for about a decade or so. And then every once in a blue moon, we unfortunately do not hit it, whether it's the gubernatorial or the presidential. We were able to hit it last gubernatorial, and we give it our all. So thank you for your question, Mr. Ford.
Well, which one did you lose it on?
This most recent presidential campaign.
Okay. And what was roughly the percentage there?
I apologize.
Okay, no worries. That's not a big deal.
In front of me.
How many volunteer signatures are you getting, and how many people right now are volunteering?
When we asked for volunteers initially, some people were able to get 25, 50 signatures at the most, but we didn't, and we did have people go out for, a weekend or 2 weekends. But there was not the appetite for continuous volunteering.
Well, this is what I'm trying to tell you. I've got a couple issues here. I just need to briefly discuss. I want to be kind here. That's not good. We had another state recently that we did encumber money for, and they have a very aggressive volunteer program, very aggressive. I don't know. we obviously want to have a candidate on the ballot for the presidency, and I understand all the cost considerations. But at a certain point, if you're asking the national party, which is in a challenging position, to subsidize a state that won't aggressively pursue the signatures on their own, in a state that barely gets 1%, and you're talking about a candidate who's not going to aggressively campaign this time. I mean, I get it. I get the long-term picture, but it's troubling to me that this kind of money is going to be spent on an effort that's doesn't have a lot of potential unless there's a sea change in attitudes. If we go forward with this, I would ask one of the bogeys be that a certain percentage of volunteer. Listen, I'm a terrible petitioner. I loathe it, and I loathe the fact that good, smart people, our best people, are being put on street corners with clipboards. I mean, it's just I loathe every part of it. But I also understand that it's a necessary evil. But I would request that one of the bogeys, in exchange for my vote in favor of encumbering money, be a certain continued level of volunteer signatures. The spending this kind of money when the party just doesn't have it, has all sorts of other challenges in addition to this. That's troubling to me. My other big picture issue is here is that I would like to change the way that we approach this. It has nothing to do with Maryland. I believe that we should have an annual budget, and we should be at a certain point in year. The experts on the ballot access committee, and we have experts on the ballot access committee. We have great people on that. Should be coming to us with a budget that addresses. And I know there's challenges that pop up. It's whack-a-mole, but it addresses the next 6 months, and I'm just picking that as an arbitrary number of what we're going to spend money on. We have a ballot access budget, but there are times our fundraising falls behind. So where our ballot access budget is relative to our fundraising for that, relative to the ongoing considerations, needs to be considered. I don't think we can go from state to state like this anymore. We need to have a comprehensive approach for a fixed period of time moving forward. So overall, if there's a bogey in there for volunteer signatures at some level, and again, please don't, I'm not trying to badger you, but please don't take this the wrong way. But when you say there's not an appetite for it, holy cow. I don't know if I have an appetite for spending money for folks who don't have an appetite for going out and doing it. And this isn't anything. I'm not asking you to do anything I haven't done myself.
We are at time. We've expended 25 minutes, unless there's a motion to extend time.
Motion to extend time for 5 minutes?
5 minutes?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second. Is there any discussion on extending for 5? Hearing none, we are extended for 5 minutes. I'll go ahead and keep the timer going.
Mr. Chair, if I could just hold the floor for briefly 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
If we are to come up with a proposal to fund this, and I like the idea of having objectives, I call them bogeys. I'd like to hear them as part of that proposal. Thank you.
Mr. Dar, and then is Kyle O'Donnell, is he a part of Maryland? Oh, that's you. You have your hand up. Okay, I was like, what?
That may be our treasurer.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Dar, and then somebody else from Maryland. Mr. Dar.
As far as the fundraising for this on the LNC's part, I would just ask that we get some help with crafting our donation appeal letters going into this, and feedback and different information that we can use that helps us appeal to our donors out there. That is very helpful for our staff, not to just kind of guess at what the appeal is out there, so we can help make sure this is actually funded through our donors out there. I'd also like to see candidates in the future that has been mentioned there that would, effectively use that, and to make sure we aggressively go after that. And I also would like to see, not from Mr. O'Donnell, but the Ballot Access Committee, a forecasted budget of what we're trying to look at, so we can try to meet milestones of fundraising for the items that they need going on in the future, and we're going about this in a thoughtful manner. Those are my quick thoughts there.
And on that topic, I think we could speak with our partners in Iron Light to see how best to reach the people within Maryland LP and people who've obviously donated to ballot access before. We might be able to combine ballot access as a whole on several subjects if we target certain donors that are most likely to give in general that may not live in Maryland. So this could be an experiment in targeting specifically for this cause.
But-
So I think that that is something that we want to consider. And then
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Go ahead.
did Mr. O'Donnell say that the other Kyle O'Donnell is the Maryland treasurer, Travis Larrell? Did you say that?
I think that is likely.
Okay,
Um,
I would really like to hear from Travis Larrell, the Maryland treasurer. He's been very involved in this. I think we ought to hear from him, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Laro, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Yes, I checked some of the numbers, and in reference to the volunteer signatures, over 600 have been collected by volunteers. Typically, volunteers are less effective on a per day basis, but there has been some effort for folks to go and get some on a volunteer basis. Are there any questions you have for me?
I just
Well-
want to state that's over 10%, which is actually pretty good on a volunteer basis.
I certainly would ask the Maryland party to, try to step up the volunteer effort, particularly as, we get into March, the weather warms up. This is obviously a expensive proposition, and people in surrounding states can go in and petition as well. I myself, when I was a Virginian, went into Maryland many times to petition, and help should be asked from surrounding states, in my opinion.
And Mr. Redpath, while there's time, if you plan on making a motion, you should make the motion.
Okay, I will make a motion, and that is that I move to encumber $45,000 from the LNC for ballot access petitioning on this petition drive for the Libertarian Party of Maryland to complete this petition drive successfully by July 1, 2026.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second,
All right, we're now into discussion.
We're almost out of time, are we not, Mr. Chair?
We have about a minute left.
Okay.
And we can move to extend time. Personally, I would prefer, I would support something more in line with 15,000 as a start, with some of that funding being used towards the LNC attempting to fundraise and then revisiting this issue in about several months. That would be my personal to see what kind of traction we're getting on the ground. That's what I'd like to see. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way.
I don't mind breaking it up into payments, but I think we should encumber the amount that gives clarity. It's difficult for a state party to go to petitioners and say, hey, by the way, we only have some of the money committed. Because I know petitioners ask. So I'm concerned about not encumbering the full thing. We do have the money. Let's be honest. It is there. We can touch it. I don't like to touch it. I don't want to touch the butterfly wings, but this is the type of thing that we should be doing for our state affiliates, supporting them. I would has also been said, I'd like to see Maryland step up the volunteer efforts. I think they're doing an okay job. They need to push it a little bit more. I think we can do a lot more to help promote them. Let's use our national system, CRM, to send out volunteer requests within the surrounding Maryland area. But I think that this is a valid use of the limited funds that we have, and we do have some in reserve. So I'd like to see this.
I move to extend time 10 minutes.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I'm going to object to that.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion to extend time for 10 minutes. We'll go ahead and take it to a vote. Well, I don't really have any, unless there's discussion to extend time. I'd rather take it to a vote. All in favor of extending time for 10, raise your hand.
My hand was already raised, still raised.
Okay, all right. So Mr. Dar, Paul, myself. All right.
I'll withdraw my objection to the 10 minutes, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
If you want to go ahead, sir, go. I'll withdraw my objection.
Thank you very much. All right, if there's no objection, we'll extend for 10. Mr. Ford, you had your hand raised?
Yes, sir. What $45,000? And again, I'm going to side with the chair and say that we need to break this down. $45,000 represents as a percentage basis of our cash on hand right now. Was that
That
10%?
would be that right now, our cash about $770,000 roughly. So that would be ballpark 6 to 7% of LNC cash at the moment.
Right. I just editorially, I get it. And I keep saying that I get it. I get the value proposition for the presidential year. But at the same time, we're talking about $45,000 out of a $700,000, and we will raise money, but 45,000 out of a $700,000 for a state that's going to put a placeholder candidate in for a gubernatorial election this year is tough. Is tough for me. I would, Mr. Chair, we have a proposal. We have a proposal on the floor right now that we're debating.
If there was one, I would propose $15,000 encumbrance, and then I would say to sweeten the deal, $2,000 for the LNC to actually no, let me think about that for a second because I want money to be able to go and try to fundraise for this. So I'll meet you halfway, and it's a little bit less than halfway, but 15, well, a little maybe a third of the way. $15,000 for ballot access and $2,500 for the LNC to do targeted uh, outreach or targeted
Mhm.
appeals for donors for specifically for Maryland ballot access.
And if you put that amendment forward, I would just to give a heads up, I would request as part of the condition I'm moving forward to another encumbrance is 500 volunteer signatures in the first month.
415 and 47.7.
Because what I would like to see is I'm not saying we can't do 45, but to encumber 45,000 off the gate is asking an awful lot from us at this point. But regardless of the cash in the bank, there's still a deficit, and I have to be mindful of that deficit. I would like to make that motion, and I would say we can revisit this monthly, and then in a month, 2 or 3 months, we can sit back down, see where you guys are, and determine from there what we need to provide you with at that time. That would be my motion, my amendment to the main motion.
So your motion would be to amend the
Encumber
motion
50
to read as encumber up to $15,000 for ballot access petitioning for the LP of Maryland and an additional $2,000 for the LNC to fundraise
2,500.
2,500 for the fundraising for continuing petitioning efforts.
Correct.
Mr. Chair, at what point in time would I amend that motion to include my
Next
personal
month.
What is it, Pat? 500 signatures.
500 signatures in the first 30 days? So in
Well, I
other
don't
words, we're
know
gonna
if
have a
that's
review period.
I don't know if that's realistic right now with the weather.
I,
So
You know-
I'm going to make my motion, and then I'll let you.
Wait,
We'll debate that
I
amendment.
thought there was a motion on the floor already.
He's
This,
moved
this
to
is
amend
my
it.
motion
It's
to
an
amend.
amendment.
This would be a motion to amend.
Okay, I have a question, Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Mr.
all
Chairman.
in this that I think is germane. Who's running this petition drive at this point? Who is running this petition drive? And are we going to keep this payment rate at $5 per signature and see what happens? Because I don't think, I know there's been a weather situation going on there, but I don't think they've been turning the numbers at $5 a sig that's going to get this thing to the finish line by 7/1/26. So, I mean, I think there is an issue here. Who's going to be running this petition drive and deciding who's going to pay what to the petitioners?
What would the answer be if it was 45,000?
I think that, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't think this petition drive is going to succeed at $5 a sig. And I think implicit in that, although technically this was not addressed, I think implicit in that 45,000 plus the 25,000 from Maryland that they have to spend equals 70,000, divide by 7 is 10,000 gross. So all I'm saying is that I think there is an issue as to how this petition drive is going to move forward operationally. Because but we're not turning the numbers fast enough to hit the deadline that is 5 months from today. We've got to do, we've got to do ballpark 2,000 SIGs a month. And I don't think recently this drive has come close to that. And I know it's winter and all, but still.
I would defer to the LP Maryland to decide how to best use the money, and of course, with the Ballot Access Committee of the LNC to assist them in that endeavor. And if we have to meet sooner because we feel like we're just not there, well, I don't expect them potentially to get where they need to be with 15,000, but I think breaking it up into chunks at the very least is the responsible thing to do at this point. That's my opinion.
Okay. All right.
All right, so I made that motion to amend. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion on the amendment.
I don't agree with the amendment. I think that we should encumber the amount necessary at this time as opposed to coming back like this. It can be broken up, but I disagree with saying we're just going to get 15,000 now. And that's the cap. I think it should be the 45,000 broken into bi-monthly payments, but that's my position.
Mr. Ford, go ahead.
Is this a time to add an amendment?
You could amend the amendment.
Yeah, I'd like to amend the amendment to the amendment. Listen, the weather's gonna break. I understand it's a brutal. Did I mention I was out in -4 degrees yesterday filming on Friday? I mean, the weather's gonna break. And if this type of money, if we were even a little bit wealthier, I'd have a far less problem with. But this type of money on a rainy day against a rainy day fund, again for a state that's, I don't see 600 signatures or 500 or 700 as particularly great for a state that size. I just don't, and I'm not trying to criticize, but there's got to be some type of stake in this. It's anyway. So I'm gonna add the amendment that, and this is based on $15,000 being encumbered on a 30-day period, and with I'll call it a 400 signatures we'll bargain to within the first 30 days, because I get the secretary's point, and I saw this happen in New York years ago where there wasn't a full commitment. But this
Mr.
time,
Ford,
I don't
before you get into debate, let's get a second first.
Yeah. So, I'll go 400 signatures in the first 30 days on a volunteer basis.
Is there a second?
Well, I'll second this subsidiary amendment.
Okay. All right. So there's the motion, the amendment to the amendment has been seconded. It would be to add now, Pat, this is a proviso that the $15,000 would only be encumbered if Maryland can get 400 additional signatures, volunteers.
No, I'm saying the first 15,000 encumber.
Okay.
We got to
Okay.
jumpstart it. All right,
Got
if we have any chance of success.
So
And
how is
then,
this worded?
Mr. Chair, I would say $15,000 encumbered with a 30-day review. Future encumbrances rely on 400 volunteer signatures within that 30 days, which is going to be work. I get it.
So it has no bearing on the actual
The
motion.
first encumbrance. No, I'm just
It
saying
would, it would
before we go
only be if
forward
they come
anymore.
back and ask for more.
I guess we could, it would just be, I guess for us, we could always make a determination because it would be a goal because the executive committee can always say whatever we want to say. We can't force ourselves to not do something later. So it'd be setting a goal for 400 signatures within 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Any further discussion? And we're out of time in 8 seconds.
Yeah, so just move to a vote on the amendment and then your amendment and then the main motion.
All right, so we're out of time. All in favor of the Ford amendment, please raise your hand. right. And I will also vote yes, but I believe that fails.
No, that would pass. That's
would pass.
3.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I thought there was a 6. Okay. Yep. So that passes. And we're now on my amendment, which is 15,000 encumbrance for the Libertarian Party of Maryland ballot access signature drive with $2,500, the LNC to encumber or to budget for purposes of fundraising, and then the 400 signature volunteer requirement within 30 days for future potential encumbrance, more or less.
The LP of Maryland. Encumber up to $15,000 for ballot access petitioning for the Libertarian Party of Maryland, and an additional $2,500 for the LNC to initiate fundraising for additional funds for the LP of Maryland petition drive, with the LP of Maryland securing 400 signatures on a volunteer basis within 30 days before future encumbrances.
Sounds right. All right. All in favor, please raise your hand. One, two, three.
Well,
All
this is your amendment to the main motion, correct?
correct.
Okay.
All right. So amendment passes. We're now on to the main motion.
But I vote no.
I voted no.
Yeah.
Right. Wait. So we have
So
Paul, myself, and Pat voted yes.
3-2.
And then 3-2.
Mhm.
So the amendment passes. All right. Now we're back. Now we're on the main motion as amended. Same thing as written. All in favor of the main.
You need to do this by
You're
roll
right.
call vote.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
Do you guys see the screen?
Yep.
Yep.
Can see it.
Chair Nikayla,
Yes.
Vice Chair Dar,
Yes.
Treasurer Redpath.
I'll abstain.
I'm voting yes, begrudgingly. I'm not happy about this. Mr. Ford,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins is not here. Mr.
Oh.
Chair, the votes are 4 yes, 0 no's, and 1 abstention.
And I have a question, Mr. Chairman, that is
Yes.
relevant to this. So when I speak with petitioners now, what I will say to them is that the Libertarian Party of Maryland is running this petition drive, and they will have to negotiate with the Libertarian Party of Maryland regarding their compensation going forward on this petition drive, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, from Maryland. Let's stay in touch and gauge progress here in the next month or so that follows, and go from there. We are now on to the next item, which is expand scope of litigation committee to include FEC matters. I move the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right. Pretty brief. The litigation committee met, and they wish to expand, and I agree to include any outstanding FEC matters. There are still outstanding matters which require our attention, and the litigation committee has enthusiastically agreed to also oversee those matters. The floor is now open for discussion if anybody seeks to be recognized.
Just on as the representative from the litigation committee, there's some overlap in items before the litigation committee, so it makes sense.
I'll call the question.
All right. There's no further hands raised, move on to a roll call vote. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Nikayla,
I vote yes.
Mr. Dar,
I vote yes.
Mr. Redpath,
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Ford,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins is not here. Mr. Chair, the vote is 5 yes, 0 no, 0 abstentions.
Motion passes. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Move to adjourn.
Any objection? Hearing none, we are adjourned at 9:59 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you very
night.
much,
Have a
everybody.
good night.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.